The other story that we're following very closely happened in the last 20 minutes. In Paris, prosecutors say the chief executive of Telegram is officially under investigation after his dramatic arrest this weekend. The Russian-born Pavel Durov has been transferred to court earlier from the police cells. This is the video of him leaving police custody. His bail was set at $5.6 million. He's forbidden from leaving France. And now there's some questions about whether he is going to be charged. French authorities have said Telegram may have been complicit in several crimes, including fraud, drug trafficking, child pornography. We're still waiting to find out what those charges might be and how long he will be held, or the broad investigation. Alain Bauer is the French criminology professor at the National Conservatory of Arts and Trades. He joins me now. For those of us not familiar or too familiar with the inquisitorial versus adversarial system that's used in France, what is the significance of this transfer from police custody, if you will, to the courts, where now the investigative magistrates and judges take over?
Oh, first, thanks for having me, Richard. First, the French system works exactly the same, but not at the same pace and not the same way. At the moment, there was an opening of an incriminatory discussion about 12 issues. Most of them were complicity. One is about conspiracy. And the police was just asking questions. And with the answers they sent after 24, 48, or 96 hours, depending on the gravity of the acts, to the judge who decide or not to incriminate. They just decided to incriminate him, ask him to stay on the French territory, get his passport out, and now his lawyers are going to argue and ask an appeal court to review the incrimination and decide if they are substantial or just not, depending on what was the real issue, which is not freedom of speech, but the way a Telegram may organize or not disposition to sell child pornography, arms, or drugs.
Let me jump in here, sir, because what we have here is a chief executive being held personally liable, if you will, for whatever might be the corporate misdeeds, which is somewhat unusual. I mean, it's not unknown. We have had individuals of a company on corporate manslaughter and those sort of things, but we've not really seen it like this before.
But in France, the chief is responsible for what his subordinate do when he doesn't act to make them comply to what may be in the US a RICO Act or a national security letter, for example. You have a lot of, for example, the Boeing CEO was under grill by the Congress about what his engineers were doing or not doing, and he was counted accountable for what it is. It's the same system in France, and now the attorneys are going to argue about is he responsible or not, and is he under a French special legislation that make it responsible.
Okay, but Alain, by the way, I can now confirm that he has been charged with a variety of offences. We're not sure exactly the range of that. Is it unusual for him to have been charged so quickly before really the investigative magistrate or the investigative part has got underway?
But that's the beginning. In fact, what you see is the beginning of the investigative matters. There was an opening of an inquiry. During this inquiry, he was arrested, then he was questioned, and now he's incriminated, and he will go to defend himself. That's the way it works.
So he has been charged now. So we do actually have the charges that he will eventually have to go before another court to actually face the answers on.
Exactly. He has 12 incrimination. Not all of them are charged now, but we will have a very specific communication by the attorney about it. He is charged under a national organized crime special division of the National Attorney of France, not a district attorney, and he is under a kind of a RICO organized crime issues.
You gave the example of the Boeing case, and certainly the chief executive was hauled, if you will, for an accountability, as you point out. And there was talk about whether or not there could be prosecutions, but it is exceptionally rare for a chief executive to be prosecuted criminally for the acts of their company. Would you say it is rare for the Durov case for the authorities to go against the chief executive?
No, we just had a few of them recently for complicity for terrorism, complicity for paying terrorists to help the company continuing their activities in very complicated areas. So surprisingly or not, the French judicial system is going very on the top now. It's more frequent than what we think, but it's new.
So finally, when it does come to trial, again, help me and our viewers understand jury trial, trial by judge. What is the French system for actually determining guilt?
Well, that's the system. That's the thing that will be discussed by the lawyers. First, they will contest the incrimination, and that will go to a appeal court that will decide that if the incrimination is correct or not correct. Then, if it's a criminal matter, it will go by jury. If it's not a criminal matter, it will go on a system with 3 judges.
Alain, I suspect you're going to be answering many questions about the intricacies. Look, come back again, sir. We're going to need you. Don't go too far at some point to help us understand the system there and how it's progressing. I'm grateful for you. Thank you, sir, joining us from
Thank you.
Colorado.